And all through the month of July, we've been talking about our theme, which has been whole no matter what. And what wholeness means, and what that means on the inside of ourselves, what it means in our physical bodies and our mental bodies and in our relationships, and working toward how this affects the whole planet, the allness of humanity and beyond. And we've been asking the question over and over, how do we create a world that works for everyone and all of creation? Which is our Centers for Spiritual Living global vision. How do we do that? And we've talked about how we connect to that space on the inside of ourselves for ourselves. Last week we talked about connecting to it and how we personally think about others and how we process about others so we can show up more fully. And today we're going to talk about how we behave with others in order to be a space where everyone in all of creation has access to this idea of a place, a world that values all of who we are. All of who we are and all of who we are. Felt like an acting exercise. All of who we are. All of who we are. You know, when Ralph was talking about this idea of we see ourselves as a community, the New Vision Center, as very welcoming, as considering everyone. He used the word member for very first time visitors to our community because that's how we see it here. If you come ever, if you tune in ever, if you think warmly of New Vision Center in your heart, we consider you a member of our extended community. All of you and all of you. So how do we do that? How do we rearrange the way we've been conditioned by life to become people who hold that level of space for ourselves and one another? And that's what this talk is about. And the first step is accepting all of ourselves. Because isn't that just the way it goes? That all healing work starts right here. All of it. Healing the planet, healing the country, healing the continent, healing the Argentinian soccer fans who are having a real rough couple weeks, friends. My stepkids are half Argentinian, and oh, we've had to hold some space this week for them. It all starts with healing ourselves because we don't have a prayer of making that space for others if we aren't tuned into ourselves. And so it makes perfect sense to me, and I hope you will go along on this ride with me for this little witchy pagan science of mind minister. You can take the girl out of the circle, but you can't take the circle out of the girl. To talk about the Hermetic law of correspondence, which is probably familiar to you, even though you probably haven't ever heard the phrase, the Hermetic law of correspondence. And what it says is, as above, so below. And it states that the microcosm, the individual, and the macrocosm, the universe, are connected and reflect each other. So we could just as easily say, as below, so above. What we are is reflected out there. And what is out there is reflected in here. Now, this may feel like, oh, Leslie's on another one of her wild tears. And yeah. But also, in case you need me to recontextualize it into science of mind conveniently, Ernest Holmes had a thing for the Hermetic law of correspondence, and this is my evidence from the what we believe statements, or also known as the Declaration of Principles. He said this: we believe in the incarnation of the one Spirit in all humankind, and that all people are incarnations of the one Spirit. As above, so below. As within, so without. And so it's important that we really anchor in to this idea of recognizing wholeness no matter what on the inside of ourselves first. Now, that's what Reverend Karen's talks were about. So it's not like this is new news, but we can't get to the end of the road or the beginning of the end of the road until we reset our minds. That it's important to, as I would say to many of you one-on-one, be kind to my friend. Say nice things about my friend. Take good care of my friend, and you are my friend. It hurts my heart when you are unkind with yourself. Now, this doesn't mean that we are perfect in the human sense, that we don't mess up, because, oh, my loves, we do. There's a reason Ralph read that poem today. We will screw it up. We will. We got to shake off this idea that there is such a thing as never, ever stepping on someone's toes or saying the wrong thing or not knowing a thing we ought know. That fear, like we talked about last week, keeps us from trying. We do not have to be perfect, but we do have to be aware. We have to be awake to our role in this greater thing called humanity. There are two major steps between becoming aware of our own wholeness and walking out a world, at least within the 5 feet all the way around yourself, that world that is safe and loving for everyone and all creation. And those two steps are accountability and boundaries. Everybody's favorite topics. Yay! Woo! But they're so important, they're too important to skip. Next week starts the month of fun, the month of joy. So you can hold on to that in case any of this feels, a little heavy. The path to it not feeling heavy is making friends with it. So we're going to start that process here together today. Taking accountability. So in order to move into this area, we get to lay down one really heavy, yucky lie that on some level we are probably all carrying. Before I say the lie, I'm going to tell you it's not your fault that you think this. You were conditioned in culture to think this. But you get to decide if you're going to think this after this. And it is the lie that minorities orbit around the majority. That blackness exists in orbit to whiteness. That gayness exists in orbit to straightness. That disabled bodies orbit around healthy bodies. And every other possible form of micro-community you can imagine. This shows up as saying, oh, I'm not disabled, I'm normal. It also shows up as, how could I possibly have known that? It shows up as, well, if they want us to get along with them, then they should just fall in line with how we do it. Take a breath. It's not a minority person's job to make the majority feel comfortable. It's not. We think it is, whatever area in which someone might be in the majority. I remember my dad when I was a little kid. My dad and I went rounds about a lot of this stuff as I was growing up. And he would say things like, well, if they want to be taken seriously in the NBA, why do they have those stupid haircuts? Anybody ever heard something like that? If they want to get a job, why are they getting all those tattoos? Oops. To this day, the poor man has Alzheimer's, and he can't remember anything. And he gets to have a new meltdown every time I come over. about the tattoo that's been there for 11 years. And he kind of enjoys it, I think. It is not anyone's job to make us feel comfortable. It's not anyone's job to make you feel comfortable. But we like to feel comfortable, right? I understand, I've said this from the platform before, I understand when people say, I love going to New Vision Center and being surrounded by like-minded people. I can relax and be myself. And I can, on one hand, smile and agree that that does feel lovely. And then remind gently that if that is the priority, then we're not inclusive at all. We're inclusive of people who are like us. And when not like us starts showing up, ooh, I don't know if they fit in here. I don't know if they're going to last. Ooh. If we have that mindset, are they? No, because that's not welcoming and inclusive. It is not their job to make us comfortable. It is our job to live in alignment with who we say we are, with who we think we are, here at New Vision Center and out in the world. If inclusive, loving, belonging, welcoming lives in your heart as an identifier, then it's your job to live up to that. I don't know where to start. I don't know where to start. I hear that so often. I've said it, I don't know how many times before someone lovingly called me in and said, whew, it's your job to find where to start. A really good place to start, I'll give you a few. One good place to start is recognizing that intent does not outweigh impact. That's not how I meant it. You know how I am. I would never mean to hurt your feelings, right? But that doesn't take anything away from the feelings that are hurt. It doesn't take anything away from the boundary that you have built that is not a healthy boundary, but is a barrier. So just recognizing that oh my gosh, but no, I didn't mean it that way. We can skip that whole part of the conversation. We can just let that go because they know. It's your friend, a member of your community. They know you are not actively trying to harm them, I hope. And if not, wow, we need a whole different conversation. But it doesn't take away the wound. And too often, that's the apology by itself. I didn't mean it like that. Friends, that's not an apology. This is not what an apology is. We will mess this up. And we have to be willing to actually take accountability. So the next step is learning to actually apologize. I do not know how this doesn't get taught in kindergarten. It just doesn't. Say you're sorry. Say you're sorry you bit your brother. Say it. Say it. Say it like you mean it. I'm sorry, but I'm going to bite you again later. Thank God I don't have any brothers. Whew. There are 3 important steps to an apology, and it's not an apology if we skip any of them. The first one is to take responsibility. I did that. I messed up. I said this thing. I meant something different than what I said. That's on me. I'm sorry. The second one is to express remorse. I know that this hurt you. I am deeply apologetic, so very sorry that you were hurt by what I did or said. And the third one is to commit to change your behavior out loud for real. I will do X to make sure that does not happen again. Whether that's read a book, learn a thing, make different choices with my words. That's an apology. How many times have you been in an argument with someone and they say, I'm sorry, and you hear in your head, I really want this conversation to stop. That's what that I'm sorry meant. And they'd say, I apologize. Can't you just let it go? And you can't, because it doesn't feel complete. This is why it doesn't feel complete, because it's not. Because it's not complete. But if someone says to you, I take complete responsibility for the thing I did or said that was hurtful. I am so sorry that you are hurt. I am so sorry I did the thing that hurt you. This is what I'm going to do to make sure that I don't hurt you in this way again or anybody else. Then you have a choice. I will reconnect with this person or I will not. I will forgive them or I will not. But I will know that all the way down, they actually apologized. It feels different. If this is new information to you, take a deep, deep breath and know that you are a droplet of changing this planet. Every person who hears this and really understands it, really gets it, is a droplet in changing the planet. The third step in taking accountability is accepting the responsibility of self-education. Imagine with me that you and, we'll say, 15 other human beings decided to go live on planet Zork as a delegation to planet Zork. And they're excited to get the humans, right? Oh, finally, the diversity we've been looking for. We have some humans, and we get to love on them, and they're going to love on us. Yeah, right? So exciting, so exciting. And you get there, and you find out that one of their Zorkian traditions is to greet someone by pinching their upper arm and shaking it vigorously. Right? And this is a surprise. And by like day 2, your arm is so bruised. The next Zorkian that approaches you, you're like, nope, that's fine. I don't want to be friends. We can say hello from over here. Protect my arm. But then this arm's exposed. Zorkian after Zorkian, you explain humans don't have that bony covering over their upper limb the way Zorkians do, so that it hurts. It hurts us. So please find a different way to greet me. And then you meet another Zorkian, and you meet another Zorkian, and you meet another Zorkian, and you meet it's a whole planet full of Zorkians with their wonderful, loving. At some point, most people would fatigue of explaining to every Zorkian that we do not have the bony protuberance over the upper limb that protects us from the pain of the love wiggle, the pinch of presence. And you might start to think, have they not checked Wikipedia about humans? It says right there, rule number 1 with humans, don't pinch the upper arm. It really, really hurts. There was a documentary on it on ZPS, that's Zorkian Public Service. There are jokes about it in the sitcoms, humans with their super tender arms. And right? And they're like, oh, no, I didn't mean it like that. You didn't tell me. I didn't know. How could I know? This is the experience of every minority population ever, forever, and ever. It is not the job of a minority person to educate you, to be your college professor in the thing you don't understand. If we want to be the loving, welcoming, inclusive people that we obviously do want to be, it's our job to get educated. And guess what? There's Wikipedia and social media and books and audiobooks and documentaries and the very limited number of wonderful educators in the minority community that do want to share. It's all findable. If we go looking to understand the person we wish to love before we pinch their arm very hard, or touch their hair, or comment on their weight, or make a comment about their food, or, that list goes on forever. And the truth is, we don't need to know that humans don't have the bony protuberance over their arm. We just need to know that they don't want that behavior. We don't need to understand why someone doesn't want commentary on their weight. It doesn't really matter if it's because they have a history of an eating disorder, or they're just exhausted from the yo-yo dieting, or they've finally kicked the habit of the diet culture. Doesn't matter. That's just not what they want. It's just not what they want, and that's okay. Recognizing that intent does not outweigh impact, and learning to apologize and accepting the responsibility of self-education sets us up to actually be that loving, welcoming presence. That in our hearts we know we are capable of, and in our teaching we know we are called to, right? So last week we talked about bridges. And today I want to talk about boundaries as bridges. For anyone who wasn't present for last week's talk, we talked about bridging as the opportunity to move from one mindset into an accepting, open, loving mindset that includes someone who has previously been outside of our sphere of experience, includes them into our sphere of experience. How can we live in a way that opens that up and truly stretch? I think of Reverend Karen Einhaus making this shape with her arms so often. Gets those arms all the way around everyone. So how can we use a boundary as a bridge? So right away, I hear the word, or I say the word boundary, and oop, we've lost 10% of you. Oh my God, another talk on boundaries. I hate this. If that's you, take a breath. Prentice Hemphill, who wrote the book of the month, you've heard us, we've been quoting it all month. He said, boundaries are the distance at which I can love you and me simultaneously. You know, where I can take care of myself and my own needs, and you and your needs. And there is space for love. And really digging into this means laying down the idea, the false belief that boundaries are inherently unloving or controlling. We have that idea because we've probably, most of us, had experiences where we present a boundary and we get, oh, it's always something with you. It's always something with you. What now? I guess, I'm not quoting anyone in particular. I guess I'm just the worst mother in the world, or father, or teacher, or friend. Oh, I guess you just think I'm awful. No, I think you didn't hear my boundary. Boundaries are not unloving. They are not controlling. They are clarity. And if we have learned even one thing from Brené Brown, it is that clear is kind. The reason I think we struggle so much with boundaries in our culture is because we don't know what they are. We're as bad at knowing the definition of boundaries as we are at knowing the definition of apologies. We fixed apologies, let's fix boundaries. So there are 3 steps to boundaries as I see them, and we have a slide that's going to guide us through those 3 steps. That's a beautiful slide. This is the one I was wanting. It was a beautiful slide. I love that slide. So here's how boundaries look. I make a request. Please, when you meet me, don't pinch my arm. It hurts, right? I don't have the bony protuberance. It's uncomfortable. Thank you. Second step. If you do that, I'm going to need to not have you touch me at all. Or if you do that again, I won't be coming to visit you again because it's painful. See, if you do not meet the request, then I will do whatever. And then third, enforcing the boundary consistently. Now you're going to notice it doesn't mean they enforce the boundary by behaving or not behaving. They're going to do that. That's not really the part of it. That's theirs. You don't have any control over that. They're going to do what they're going to do. They will either honor your boundary or they won't. But we, the boundary setter, must enforce the boundary consistently. Or it doesn't work. It doesn't mean anything. If we say, if you pinch my arm upon greeting, I'm going to have to not get within pinching range of you when we're together. And they say, oh, it's always something with you. I can't feed you poison. I can't pinch your arm. I can't hit you with a car. Gosh, your expectations are insane. When I was young, when I was coming up, we just took it. We just took the sore arm. We took it as a badge of courage. I had a bruise on my arm for 17 years, and it showed I was tough. I could get along in the world. How are you going to even live in this world with your boo-boo arm? It's a little too close to home, isn't it? Oh. And here's the bummer of it all. If we don't enforce that boundary even once, it's not a boundary anymore because they won't believe us. And then we've just shot the whole thing. We have to be the ones that are brave enough and strong enough to do the thing we have said we will do each and every time. That's enforcing the boundary. If you talk badly about people of another race in my presence, I will leave. And then when they do so, because they will, because, nobody likes to challenge something like a rule, you actually pack up your knitting and hit the road, Jack. And they might be right behind you. Oh, come on, you know I didn't mean it, but you got to go. You got to do it. It usually only takes once of actually enforcing the boundary. Maybe 2-3 times. It doesn't take very long. People are smart. We're good at learning. So let's flip it around. Somebody asks you, hey, could you please not, I don't want to say pinch my arm again. I want to use a real example. Could you please not congratulate me on not using my cane anymore? It makes me feel like it's not okay when I do use it, and sometimes I need it. And they say, well, it's normal. It's normal to think it's better for you to be healthy and be able to walk without a cane. That's weird. You're weird. Fair. Okay, I'll be weird. That's fine. Could you please not do that? If you do, I will visit with you less because it doesn't feel safe. If you do, I will leave your presence. What do you do? What do you do? If you have that feeling that you're right to feel like it's good and right to want someone to be able to walk unaided, but they've said it hurts them when you point out that it's better for them to not use it. What do you do? The question is not about who's right. The question is, do you love the person in front of you enough to make that adjustment? That's the only question. Do you love that person enough to make that shift? And if you don't, then when the boundary is enforced, you've lost nothing because you didn't love them enough to have them be in your presence. And that's okay. but be honest about what happened. This is not something that happened to you. This is something you chose. I cannot flip through TikTok without seeing family members not speaking to each other, without seeing friendships that have broken apart over politics, over interpersonal relationships, over comments about weight or education level or money or whatever person is dating, right? It's constant, it's everywhere. And that's just a reflection of the greater community. All of us know somebody who is completely not speaking to someone in their family or previously post friend group. We all do. Many of us are those people. I have been that person. What we've talked about today is the path back. Do you love the person enough to take accountability, to learn how to actually fully apologize, to educate yourself, to honor your own boundaries enough to enforce them, and to honor other people's boundaries? Only you know that answer. And I invite you to ask it often and honestly. And so this week, there's always an invitation, right? This week, here's your invitation. Consciously and intentionally engage in something that makes you question your assumptions, that takes you outside of what fits easily into your understanding. The kind of thing that you might get wrong. The kind of thing that you might not have self-educated yourself about. And look for the bridging opportunity. Pay attention to what you're thinking. Pay attention to the language you're using in your mind, the things that you're saying in conversation. Where is your opportunity to demonstrate that your love is bigger than your need to be right or your need to stay in the place where you have been? This is the invitation. I hope that you will take it. And so it is. So let's anchor this in with some prayer, because we're going to need it, right? Oh, how good it is to remember that there is only one. That in all of this sense of separation and others and difference, that in truth, there is only one divinity, one power, one presence, and that it is all that is and all who is. That each is an expression of divine perfection, exactly as it is. That's the truth of myself, that is the truth of everyone within the sound of my voice through all of space and time. It's the truth of everyone everywhere. And this truth of unity is bigger than this weak sauce concept of sameness. Unity does not mean uniformity. It means a oneness so complete that it can wrap its arms around every possible differentiation, every beautiful piece of diversity that the divine has dreamed into beingness. It is the pure and perfect love that is unconditional, and a remembering that every difference is just a condition, an effect, an outpicturing of the divine. When our love is unconditional, it means that that love is bigger than any difference, and that bigness can power our growth, our learning, our wisdom, our kindness, our inclusivity, our welcoming of diversity, our depth, our good. And so what I know is that every single beloved everywhere is in that light of the divine, that the wholeness that has always been true is showing up for each and every one of us as exactly what is needed, that a mighty healing is happening on the inside of each of us and rippling out into the greater world. That wholeness, no matter what, is the truth of life, showing up as deep friendships, consideration, loving kindness, celebration of the differences, and willingness to honor one another's boundaries. That Spirit is right there, making that easier with every breath. I'm so grateful to know this truth, to know we do nothing alone. Spirit is always right there. And I let it be released into the action of universal law as we say together, and so it is.